you can see this going to the moon, there's a flip side of it. But you're not going to build a business and be stressed every day about making it work, yet you have no guarantee that it's going to work. So enjoy the journey and take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your mental wellness, because without you, there's no business. You can't go through all these tough times successfully.
Great. I think for me, it starts with you, the inner core, as an individual. You see, you fall in love with your business. So it's almost like you've had a significant heartbreak. Yeah? If you have in love with this woman or man, and things just, and you've done it 20 years, and now you know this is coming to an end. You know, you have to first heal as an individual. And that healing process is an important part of you going to the next venture. Because first, you second guess yourself. You have to know you can't second guess yourself. You have to know, why did I do this? What made me successful? Why am I here? That process of healing is significant. You have to go through it. You can't now just say, let me jump into the next venture just because you want to revenge or whatever. So you need to heal. That's number one. Number two, and then you need to then apply around you what happened to me. Then you ask yourself, who is my supportive ecosystem? You have a family, you have everything. You also need to look at your unit economics. Talking about business economics. You have to look at unit economics. Maybe, yeah, it was great. You could go to Paris every holiday and every other place. You realize, no, this is not happening. You're not going to do cash plan. This is not happening, right? And you have to figure out if your spouse is actually happy or going to say to her, maybe I'm not in this mix anymore, right? So you also need to figure that out, right? But that situation is real. It's a real situation, exactly. So they say the highest level of divorce is after you break your business. That's what they say. So that you need to really, because if those two things are not aligned, you can't then jump into from the venture. Then now you go to the venture and look at your supporting ecosystem. Yeah, guys, that's why I really want to do this TV series. Your friends, they're those ones who used to hang me. Yeah, this one is wasting my time. You do it for good times. This one I can tell this situation. Let's go. Then you figure out you need to realign people around you. And what I can tell you, it's not the people you drink with that never invest in the business. I found when I invested in my next business, I have 40 shareholders. We raised, I think, 5 million euros. I have never had dinner with any of them. Never. We've never sat, let's have a meal. No need. The next thing I figured out is you need to own your story. You don't want your story defined for you by somebody else. So by the time you're talking to somebody and say, support me, or let's work on this together, you need to have been so clear about how you ended up where you are for them now to trust you in the next venture. So most of us, you say, let's not talk about that. You can't. You need to own the story. That has to be your starting conversation. Even before you ask for anything. Say, even before I do my pitch, let me say where I've come from. This is how I ended up at this home. Is that correct? Because in the back of their mind, they're thinking, this guy. You know? So you have to tell them, before we talk about this guy, this is why I'm here. Is that correct? Then they say, okay. There are guys who finance my business because I was honest enough on how we got to where we are. Just say, I got in this position because of this, right? That's what I learned. And that to me are the learning lessons. Once you do that, then if your unit economics, your business plan makes sense, people are fund you, but you've built internally, you started with your family, and you also assure yourself. And then I think most of us, when those things happen, you tend to get into a cocoon, right? You need, even that's the time you need to be more outside, you need to be more present. Because you don't want people to say, what happened to Eric? What happened to this guy? What happened to this guy? You need to say, hey, I met Eric, but he looks happy. It's okay.
Let's go.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You need to be outside. You need to be present. Because when you're present, opportunities then find you.
So of the lessons learned that were shared, there are a few themes that were highlighted. The fundamental being trust. So as we talk about co-founder compatibility, as we talk about governance structures as well, having an independent board member, all of this is either building fundamental trust within your venture or even having a perception of trust. I think the other thing that we heard in terms of themes was being intentional. Being intentional around how you're building, who you're building with, having an end game, not just for your company as it scales, but for yourself. So those are some of the 3 key themes that we've heard in terms of lessons. I'd like us to transition a bit to be introspective again. And we all know that transitions can take a very serious mental, emotional, and financial toll. So would love to just hear from our panelists, again, no order here, to share a bit more about your journey and the toll that the transition took personally.
Maybe I could start. I think it's your view on wealth and your view on capital, right? You see, you could see I used to live somewhere here at a $1.4 million house somewhere here. When you ask yourself, okay, this house, well, how did I get this house? It's because of my business, right? Does the wife want to sell it? No. Okay. But you realize if you don't sell this house, you would have to start a capital, start a new business, right? So it is how you look at money and how you look at wealth and how you look at your asset class, right? For the first time you start realizing the land you bought there doesn't really matter. I think you need to get rid of it. It was emotional buy, right? You need to get, because you're used, if you don't have that capital, you don't invest your own capital, nobody's going to trust you with the next level of capital. So you can't tell me you live in $1.5 million house. You're asking me for $200,000. That's not happening. And these guys know that. They're asking money, you live in a $1.5 million house. I'm asking you now, my friend, you live in a $1.5 million house. Eh? Sell the house, then you can go along. So I think it was just realizing. I think then more is less and less is more. So realizing, no, actually don't need this. I don't need this. Maybe I can convert this asset into this, right? Then just calibrating your asset class and how you see wealth and what you think you're attached to. That's what I think was my big tipping point. So that is I don't know too much. So now I can receive a lot of lessons.
Yeah, I don't have a $1.5 million.
I took 20 years.
But I can relate because I think it's very hard for me to change my view on money because I'm always looking at what is the opportunity cost. If I put the money in this asset, whatever asset class it might be, I'm always comparing it with what sort of return I might get if I invest it in my next venture. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just it's a reality of this journey, and I think just getting to a realization that certain, and it ties back to the end game, right? Are you doing this in perpetuity? Because at the end of the day, you have to live. I think it was something you said. Enjoy the journey. Yeah, yep. I said enjoy the journey. For me, that is very important. Like with my Horizons offices, I'm trying to connect Africa through my offices. I had an opportunity of living in West Africa, which is a bit unusual for Kenya. A few years back, you ask Kenyans about East Africa, and there's a lot of misinformation, and yet it's actually a wonderful place to do business. I've really enjoyed beyond the money in terms of getting a return, the social capital, the networks, the people that I have met through my business. Eric knows we lost a friend recently. We lost a friend, and it's one of the people I met on my entrepreneurial journey. And his legacy was actually about connecting people. And the value and the power in being able to connect like-minded people, particularly on the continent, particularly who are sharing a journey I think is one of the biggest takeouts the last week that I've been away. Actually, I just came in this morning. So social capital is something that you get on this journey, which I don't think you get it anywhere else. You know, I keep coming back to what we're doing today. Don't underestimate it. And I think it is so important to be really intentional with the people that you meet on this entrepreneurial journey. It's not just about exchanging cards. You really do need to connect and really be interested in each other's businesses and in each other. Right? So that's really, really important. I think finally, and I keep coming back to the beauty about the journey is once you've taken the first step, the second step, and when the fear is gone, it becomes, I think, very exciting because the possibilities are endless. I don't know how you guys feel. Do you guys feel like you could do anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't hear too many yeses.
Okay, show of hands.
I believe I can fly.
You can take it. Exactly. And so for me, this is the best job ever. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Tasha, the toll that it took, and then we've also touched on some mitigation strategies around being intentional. But tell us about the toll that the transition took for you.
Yeah, so it was super tough. It's hard for me to put it in words, but let me focus on how I got out of it. So last year is the first time I saw a therapist ever. Yeah, it was really transformational, I think, because of two things. One is it helped me reflect on what I had done to get there. And one of my biggest mentors and investors told me that, and they ended up investing in my next venture. They told me that, Tesh, you can make magic once, you can make magic again. And that made me really think about all the strengths and all my superpowers and what got me there. But at the same time, it made me think about why we failed. So I had an opportunity to sort of like a blank slate to start the next chapter. And that was great because now I feel like everything I learned was culminating into this moment to build the next venture. So reflecting on the failure was equally important. I think the other big thing that happened was I decided, so through this therapy and understanding myself, I decided this time I wanted to do something, be very intentional about the journey I wanted to take. So which customers do I want to serve? How do we want to build this business? So again, fresh slate. And I decided I was going to travel light. What do I mean by travel light is I looked back at, for example, the team. We still have the best team members that we enjoyed working with. We work with them every day and we enjoy the journey together. I looked at the investors and I thought this is an opportunity. And I mean, even before talking to them, I could see the real colors of everybody come out. I could see who were the sharks, I could see who really cared about me. And that came out really strongly. And traveling light now just means like you're so much more aware when you're talking to an investor. Like you can see it from miles away. Yeah, like whether to just have this conversation or this is somebody you'd like to build your business with. So I travel light in that sense. And then travel light in terms of forgiveness. So I didn't move on with resentment, like Mike mentioned, like moving on sort of to revenge and stuff like that. I just forgave everybody who I realized weren't aligned, and it wasn't because I'm the better person. I realized just everybody's on their own journey. They put money in you. It's emotional. It's tough for them as well as an investor, for example, or as a team member who trusted you and now they have to go. So I forgave myself for all the mistakes I made and for hurting people, and I forgave those who treated me unfairly as well. So that's.
Delilah, thank you for that, Tash.
Yeah, for me, the toll that it took, maybe to put it a little bit into context, in the last like 5 years, being an African female founder who has raised over $1 million, you were treated like everyone wants to talk to you and put your face on things, they want to take photos, and you're here on so many LinkedIn posts from people you don't even know and don't know you either, but your face floats everywhere. So, you're kind of like put somewhere where you never asked to be, and so for me, like that really took a toll on me, because stepping down or stepping away was kind of like, okay, there was only like 3 of you anyway, and now there's like 2 or something. I felt so guilty for what that represented for the females, like in the ecosystem as well. But thankfully, at the same time, one of my closest female co-founders also stepped down, so we went through that journey together. And yeah, that mentally, that really just took, a really big toll on me. And I'm someone who really likes to exercise, so I decided, let me start running. So I started running from my problems, running from the and I ran. I ran the Eldoret Marathon, came dead last because it's an elite race, and they didn't tell you that. But then, yeah, like Tesh, I also went to therapy, and really had to think through and like rebuild confidence. Really had to like reframe the situation, because although maybe I'm looking at it like, oh my god, I've let everybody down, probably not many people are looking to me like that anyway, just like really trying to quiet like the voices in your head, like as a founder. So really, yeah, for me, I think I spent the last like 2 years just trying to rebuild like brick by brick, because I think one of you said here that you get very emotionally invested in the business, and the line between the business not going well and you being a bad person are very, very blurry. Like, is it because I am not good enough that this business is not working? Is it because I don't have the right skills and I'm not prepared? And that kind of disassociating that is very important. But I think, once you go through it once, smooth sailing after, you're really able to really regulate yourself, really put like that distance between the company and yourself, and really understand that like it's a company, everybody knows that it's hit or miss. This could work or it couldn't work, and we're all invested, in making it work. But even if it doesn't, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. I have room to grow. I think as an entrepreneur, growth is our superpower. I think entrepreneurs learn faster than anybody else. But yeah, I think just really disconnecting yourself from whatever happens to the company, that can save you a lot of turmoil, I think, in this journey.
Thank you so much. Can we have a round of applause? On behalf of everyone in this room, I want to thank all of you for being so humble, open, and transparent. I mean, we've all seen all of your names at various stages when you were at the peak of success. And I think one thing that we're hearing is, number one, we're all people at the end of the day. We're building businesses. We all bleed when we're cut. We all hurt when something happens. So with that said, would love to open it up to the audience to maybe do some Q&A. Eric, we have microphones going around, please.
All right, thank you so much. It was really one of my big visions this year to do this panel. And I want to appreciate you all for being vulnerable and being very candid, because we cannot build an ecosystem when we don't talk about failure. So I really appreciate a lot of people that I invited said no, but I don't take no for an answer. So thank you for saying yes to me. What I want to ask you is, for most of you, I know that your family doesn't even know that you're an entrepreneur. Right? Some of you, your family thinks you're working in some corporation. And then now the company has failed. So the question is, how do you deal with that family dynamic? So there's a nuclear family. Mike talked a little bit about his nuclear family. But what about your extended family that sees you, your cousins in a village that you send money to, and then now you, is that Mike, is that you? We hear the news. How did you deal with that? That extended family dynamic. which is again sort of a bit different dynamic from your nuclear family dynamic that in certain cases you can deal with, but it's still hard. Sorry to dig a little bit deeper, but since we are there, we might as well go deep. I'm sorry.
Can I extend that to extended family, friends, community? I think that's really where it's happening. I think extended family, I mean, immediate family tends to be quite supportive. And assuming your significant other was supportive to begin with. Otherwise, you're going to get a I told you so.
But
Now-
that's
now I have
a
it.
movie. That's a movie. People get it.
That's real.
I told you so.
I have a chapter on that. Partnerships, relationships in business, in entrepreneurship, and what happens.
But I think when it gets to the extended family, I think it is extremely difficult, to be honest, and friends and community. And the reality is the support system for me actually came from other entrepreneurs. You know, that you will not admit to your extended family that things are not going well. So one of the guys who was in a similar situation was telling me, hey man, you've got to fake it until you make it. You've got to put on a brave face. You've got to put a brave, and I think Mike said that. You've got to put a brave face, otherwise, because that means you're down and out. I never looked at my situation, even at the lowest point, as the end. It was part of the journey, right? Down, but not out for the count. I will get up, and I'm going to continue. So I felt I needed to continue talking up where I was going, not necessarily where I was. And people can be cruel. Society is very cruel. Society is very cruel. And it is true. People stop calling you. They stop inviting you for things. You hear stories from other people, and you're the story.
You see it, people's story, now you are the story. You used to hear other people's story, now you are the story.
Yeah, that's right. So I think that is because we're quite much as maybe some of us still think we live in a big city. The community is still there. It's still very small. We still are human beings. We do care what other people think about us. I think I cared more back in the day. I care less now. I know who my real friends are. I know I have my family for me. And those are the things that keep me going. Those are the things that matter. So that's the way I approach it. Thanks.
Yeah, so for me, I think I decided I was going to take 6 months to go offline for 6 months. So at that point, you invite me to talk or look for me for coffee or all that stuff. I was just unavailable, and it wasn't unavailable like crying and stuff like that. I decided I was going to go into 6 months of intense deep work to rebuild. That was between October last year and April, when I wrote an article about the next chapter and what had happened. And during that period, I was just reflecting and doing intense work, just building the business. So that's what I did.
Rachel, right? He's 10 years, 12 years, Googling Microsoft. So, okay, what will come up? Depending on how your life was being, I'm sure you Google your name, there's many things, right? People say bloggers, whatever. So, I think what's important, I think in that ecosystem we talked about as you go down, you need to own your story. I think sometimes you don't want to own your story, you say whatever they can say it. I think you need to own your your story. If you don't own your story, somebody else is going to own it for you. And you need to be deliberate about owning your story. So in my case, I needed to own my story, and I knew how the person I was fighting against was faceless. It's government, it's faceless. You open one day, newspaper, you're driving like this somewhere in a junction, somewhere in the morning, and your face there in the headline. And your son tells you, hey, Baba, where did you buy that newspaper? Oh, the guy from the newspaper printer is like this. The guy is saying, boss, look at the newspaper. Bring the guy nothing, please. The guy asks you when you get to service, he says, mine, Baba, I saw you in the newspaper. What's that? You think he's forgotten, he'll Google it. So you have to own that story. If you don't own that story, you take it down. Now, those extended family members also read that stuff, right? And they continue reading it, right? So if you don't know that story, then it becomes, that is your conversation. So you have to, and that story is not only about your extended ecosystem, it's your global ecosystem. You send your pitch deck to somebody, and the next thing, they're not responding. It's because you don't know the story, right? So you need to own the story. And I think one of the things I'm encouraging all of us, you have to go out and own that story. Because it's only who can tell the story the way it is. Is that correct?
Yep.
Don't fear about it. And that's why, for me, I was very happy to come here. Because I have to own my story. Right? Eric Kennedy.
He was the first person that agreed to come.
Thank you so much. And I get to sharing here, I think, for us, is perhaps the best. It's both counseling and training at the same time. And I think you're our heroes of partners now. So my question is, I've also gone through a bit of those little bets, down but not out. And in fact, tomorrow I'll be pitching for the scale. My name is Daniel, by the way. And the question I had is, one of the challenges I'm having right now, thinking about, is having a business for about 17 years. And all these lessons. What strategies or what nuggets could you share with us, especially those who have significant others and families who depend on you, to sort of protect them from the obvious storms that are coming? It's not whether the storm will come. The storm is coming, that's what I've learned. But I'm not struggling in that space. How do you still have that ahead of me? I'm still ambitious, I'm still a risk taker, but I also have other responsibilities just to avoid that collateral damage that might force you to sell or to do something that you want to do. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's a good question. And the question is, how do you prepare your family? Is it your immediate family? So I think you have to be pragmatic, right? And I think, can you both be entrepreneurs in a marriage? Number one. Is it a good risk mitigation strategy that one of you has a stable job? Maybe not. How is your asset class, for instance, right? When you look at your assets, what assets do you have to have? Then, and that's another topic on in my TV series, Keeping Up with the Joneses. So here you are, you're an entrepreneur, you're taking your kids to school, some up to money, whatever. If that business goes down, can your spouse support that school fees? If they can't, those kids are going to move from that school. You also need to ask yourself, am I living? If anything happened to me, how is my financial structure, right, as a business, right? That's the first thing you need to think about. And then another mistake we do is sometimes we collateralize, or we give banks. You sign individual bank guarantees, right? You sign off loans as an individual, which then is anything you own is connected to that loan, that business. If anything happens, they come for your car, they come for your house, they come for your other thing, everything goes. And the banks are ruthless in this, right? So you have to think about that. When you sign that bank guarantee and you put you as a director and major shareholder, because the banks won't lend you unless you do that, right? What happens? And funny enough, your shareholders won't agree to sign that. You're going to have very rich shareholders. They won't accept. They will say, we're not signing this kind of guarantee. So they say, you're not running the business, sign it. And you sign it. And you're the one who's going to collapse the business. You have to think about these kind of things. How is your risk strategy as an individual to that business, right? And then also, what is your asset classes? And then, what is the role of your spouse in terms of providing for the family in case anything happens?
All that is on the assumption that you can agree.
So what I'm going is disagreement. That's the other side of the coin.
And people do disagree. And there are consequences. And you just have to, I think very hard about, where is your value? Where is your value? So I can't give you the answer to that question. That's for you to answer. But it's exactly what you want. It's practical issues. It's you want to ring-fence your personal assets as much as possible, to the extent that you can, from your business assets. That might mean assets that are available to leverage into the business may not be available, which means you then have to maybe temper your ambition in terms of how you grow. Maybe it's how you scale. Maybe you take a more measured approach towards how you build your enterprise. So I think it's about asking the question first, not later. Later is too late.
Later is too late.
I think mine is very different because I am all in on the business. My wife is an entrepreneur as well, so when you talk about when storms come, etc., that's one of the reasons I had to transition really fast. It's like I don't have anything else to do. So we're both entrepreneurs, so stuff could hit the fan any moment. So I think the boat that we've built in case of a storm is just mental toughness, honestly. Probably that's why if an investor over here should bet on me, because I will run bad or I'll build a big business.
Yeah, guys, thank you. This is, it's not lost on me how vulnerable you guys are being and how honest you're being. It's also not lost on me that you are all Black African founders, right? Chatham House rules. An ecosystem that inadvertently or on purpose favors foreign founders, read white founders, and when you fail, nobody protects you. The stories that come out when each of you raise money, look, Tesh, I know your story, it hits home for those of us that are on the other side, that not only fight for you, but often are in the weeds with you, whether we're your board members or we're your advisors. One, I really hope Angel Africa reaches out to Harvard Business School and starts writing cases on this stuff, right? People need to learn from the good, the bad, the ugly, and also the redemption. The second thing is, I think the press has a duty to hold investors to account as well. Because you guys aren't without governance. You're not making moves without your board okaying it. And if your board is asleep at the wheel and just saying yes to everything, that's also a problem. As you are on the redemption kind of track, how do you now think about holding your investors to account, pushing back on things that they're trying to make you do, and really trying to lean on that trust and create a positive and productive atmosphere now that you have another chance to do it again?
Madam Moderator, I just want to double click on Chatham House rules and then double click on the redemption zone.
Yeah, just even something to say that's very interesting. When you're going through crisis, I think the mistake we do is that same board members are meant to be with you when you're going through that crisis. And maybe they can't. They're not the right people to be with you in that crisis. So you have all these MBA people, you boards, they've never gone through any storm. Everything is check. Check. This have Harvard guy. Check. Don't put nonsense. No. I said no, come on. I think there's need to have what you call a scrum board team that you bring into your organization that helps you through that transition. They don't benefit from equity from your company. They are there to tell you, I think the issue here is governance or unit economics. Maybe the time we need you, that's the time you need board members who understand unit economics and growth hacking. You don't need some guy telling you about HR, right? You need somebody who understands growth hacking. So I think there is need to have a Scrum board organization. Maybe Angel Guy, you guys can do that. Have more people join your Angel group who can then be able to become Scrum board members. Maybe Scrum is Scrum, right? 6 months. Yeah? Maybe you have a business where you're over invested in assets and somebody came to tell you you need to